Yeah, Tardigrade Mardi Gras. I bet they celebrate Mardi Gras.
I bet they
I
do.
don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah. They're a fun-loving creature, Ethan. Why are you giving me that look?
They're gods. They can do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they
The
want.
council said. Mardi Gras is
When's
the
the last
official.
time you hear Welcome back to another episode of What's on the Fourth Floor. Today I'll be your host, Ethan Goobles, and I'm here with my co-hosts.
Carson Green.
And Jacob Twibell.
Well, guys, you guys excited for yet another episode of What's on the Fourth Floor at almost 10:30 in the morning
Yeah,
on a Saturday?
Yeah, I didn't sleep very well, so this will be interesting.
See, these are the best ones. That's what it is.
You
Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
We're just talking. We don't understand what's happening.
don't know what's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I had a great night's sleep because I was getting ready for the podcast.
Well, that's great.
My
Always
plan
getting
was
prepared.
it was just kind of like, oh, look, it's 3 a.m.
Usually what happens is I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I need to get stuff ready for the podcast. So I get here like 20 minutes early so I can
So
try
you
and
can
get something together
get
for it.
material ready.
Yeah.
Jacob got here early and then went and grabbed a donut and Pepsi.
Well, it's
That's
not
a
Pepsi.
disgusting flavor mix, but whatever. I'm not going to judge.
I don't drink coffee, so I need caffeine some way.
I just drink water.
Why don't you drink
Caffeine.
coffee? What do you
Yeah.
have against coffee?
I don't like the smell of coffee.
See, I don't like coffee
smell?
either.
Yeah, I don't like
The smell of coffee is the best part. See,
yeah,
if you had
so
said
if
the
it's
taste
the best
of coffee,
part, I don't.
if you had said the taste of coffee, I could have.
Yeah, but
I
see, the
could
smell of
sympathize with you, but
coffee,
the smell
like,
of coffee
your
is
coffee
amazing.
breath is terrible.
I
Okay,
hate it.
different smell. That's you're not smelling
It
the
still
actual
comes from the
thing.
coffee. I think the smell of coffee is great. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't like coffee. I don't drink it either.
Oh, I love coffee.
Crazy.
I think it's just Carter and I, but Carter and I will talk about that on some future episode.
We have a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors to go down.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have to get started. We have to actually get started with the podcast. We have to do a what's with that,
Yep.
and both Jacob and Carson have one. So we're gonna do a what? We're gonna do a
What's with rock, paper, scissors today?
we're gonna do a rock paper scissors to figure out who goes first.
All right,
okay?
ready?
All right.
Wait. How are we gonna do this?
We're going to go on shoe.
Is it rock paper scissors shoot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always thought it was shoe.
yeah. You always have this shit.
Shoe.
Shoe. I never realized it was shoot.
Rock paper scissors shoot. I win. I step on your paper.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Ethan, you want to
Ready,
count us out? Yeah.
Set, go.
Rock,
Rock,
paper, scissors, shoot.
That was
Yeah,
so
that was
timing.
bad.
You guys act
You-
like you've
you do
never
the
done this
timing.
before.
Well, see, I thought you were saying rock,
Oh,
paper,
you want
scissors,
me to
shoot.
say it? Okay,
Yeah.
ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh,
Alright,
man.
time. Paper.
They both did paper.
Here we
Okay.
go.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay,
He wins.
Jacob beat Carson's scissors.
Scissors. He
All
got
right.
it with a rock.
What do you got for us today?
All right, my what's with that I found on the internet last night.
There we go.
If all swear words became socially acceptable in the world, what existing word would you use to replace them?
Oh, okay, okay.
Wait. Okay.
So, like, yeah. Oh, man. I want one that can be used, like, all the time. So we have to, like, rearrange our entire language. Like, the or something like that. It's just like, you say the, people just look at you kind of weird.
Say the
you know?
question again. I want to make sure I understand this
If all
right.
swear words in the
Yeah.
world become socially acceptable, what words do you use to replace them?
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're making new swear
right,
words here.
Right. Okay.
You know, this reminds me of, like, elementary school, and we'd sit out and we'd like make up cuss
words.
words so we could be like saying them and teachers wouldn't get us.
It's like, what's your code word for the cuss word?
It's like there's an episode of Friends where
Man,
was it Ross?
that's like a late 90s reference pulling out.
Yeah, I know. I watched 90s or 90s.
Was
shows.
it 90s?
Yeah, it was 90s.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. You've never seen Friends?
I mean, I have.
I've never really watched anything.
I
Anyway,
just
there's
don't remember
there's
when
an
it came out.
episode where they talk about in their childhood they had invented a different way to flip them or each other off.
Oh, yeah. I
So
think I do remember
they just
that,
like pull it
actually.
out once in a while. It's funny. Anyway,
What's your
a new
word?
swear word. Or like what word? An
Like
existing
an
word.
existing word that you would.
gotta be
you would
like
turn this word.
Kind of funny, though, I think.
Okay, there's this one thing in exercise running kind of it's the athletic world. It's called fartlek training.
Fartlek?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's named
I
after
feel like a
somebody.
fartlek is already an insult.
A fartlek.
Yeah, you call someone a fartlek, they probably wouldn't be too
I don't know
happy
if
with
I'm.
you.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing this.
I feel,
right,
you
but
know,
I'm
I feel
gonna
like you
look it
walk up to someone on the street and you're like, "Hey, fartlek," and they're gonna be like, "What'd you call me?"
Fart. Yeah, it's fartlek. Fartlek
Fartlek.
running.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it's spelled Fartlek. But if you say it
Oh.
fartlek, okay, that's already a funny word, and I don't.
No, funny words are great
I
for that, but
suppose.
like that's almost too funny. You gotta have more of like a.
Like I know most people hate the word moist, so we could just throw
Oh
that one in
yeah,
there.
I don't understand that. Why people hate that word?
Oh,
Why
it's
do
just
people hate that
moist.
word?
It's like
Moist.
it's the oist.
Moist.
The oist feels really weird, you know. You're just kind of like
What? Still don't understand.
you get a little jittery from it.
What would you choose, Carson?
Oh man, Ethernet. I feel like that would be like a good like term. You could be sitting
Okay,
there
wait,
online
we
and you
should
could be like,
also-
"You Ethernet." You could just
Yeah, we also need to like specify what like is it a noun? Is it an adjective?
Oh, it's
what
definitely an
part of
adjective.
speech is this? It's an adjective.
Oh yeah, like you're sitting there, you're
So-
playing on your Xbox,
Okay.
and you're playing against this guy, and he gets a sweet 360 no scope headshot on you from across the map type thing, you know, and you're like, that Ethernet over there,
That's a noun.
is it?
If you're calling him an Ethernet, that's a noun.
Yeah, but you could be like, I guess so. I guess it is a noun then.
Yeah, okay.
It's just like I don't know.
So I suppose it's easier to come up with nouns than it is because you can call like if you're calling somebody a name, that's
Yeah.
a noun.
But I mean, I feel like yeah, you're right.
Well, look at that.
What do you got?
Got nothing
You brought this hypothetical, and we ended up learning about how English works. Fartlek, by the way, what would fartlek be? I don't know. Maybe an adjective.
But like, how?
You would call the person a fartlick or a fartlicker.
But see, that'd be a noun then.
It could. Okay.
I feel like cuss words are like
So-
90% a noun.
Well, you can turn. Yes,
Lots of
I
them
would
are
agree. I would agree,
multiple-
but you can also turn
multi-use.
them into adjectives
or verbs.
or I'm not an expert in.
Do you
Just
think
add
there-
a, just
do you
add
think
a
there
bleep
are-
in here to make it sound like we said something, but we didn't.
Do you think there are experts in cuss words? Like, do you think some guy got a doctorate in
Sure,
learning
someone
cuss
studied
words in a
them.
different
Words?
language? Like, that was his thesis. Is he's
I
like,
don't know.
back in medieval times,
Yeah,
they used to
maybe-
call each other this, this, and this.
I bet there is somebody out there who's done that
Yeah,
study.
somebody has a thesis, right?
I bet somebody does. We'll have to see if there's a book out there in the library somewhere with
cuss words
medieval
throughout the
cuss
world.
words in it. That would be an interesting Google search. But like what words used to be considered cuss words?
That'll be our
Mhm.
next game.
That like and they have to be words that that'll be the next game.
Oh, we can't say them though.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
but
we
they
can
have to be
say them
words
if
that,
they're like far enough outlandish
Yeah,
that nowadays they don't
or
make
they just don't
sense.
exist anymore. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
used to be a cuss word, and now they're just words that just don't even exist.
It'd be
anymore.
interesting to see how they change with time.
Mhm.
Like if certain like time periods were all focused on one type of like thing,
Or
and that
or-
was the cuss
yeah,
word thing.
or like they were all focused on insulting a specific like member of society.
Yeah,
That would be interesting. An interesting study.
switching majors.
Wait, so Jacob, you brought this hypothetical in, but you don't have an example. Just come up with one like we did. Come on.
I've been thinking this entire time. I haven't got a good one.
Okay, what do you got?
I don't
Nothing?
have a good.
Speakers.
Come up with one. Ethernet, that was pretty original.
Oh,
I'll
if
give
you want to
that one.
know, it's because I saw the Ethernet ports over there on the wall.
I'll be
and
honest. I was thinking socket because those are right there.
Socket's a
Socket.
great one.
Like,
No,
you
socket's
stupid
great.
Socket.
All right,
It
all
could
right.
be
We
even,
We
like
got-
just
You drop all your
mean
books in
version.
the hallway, and you're like, "Ah, socket."
socket.
That'd be
would
good.
that be socket as in like the plug-in or like socket like throw a sock at it like a socket?
It's whatever you want. I mean, it's
How
just
would you spell
socket.
it?
Socket. No, socket is just the term. Like there is no like past meaning to it. We got rid of that past meaning. It is now just socket. I like that though. So, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
think I'd go with sock it, like a sock as a piece of clothing, and it'd be like kind of
So
like dang
like
it, kinda like
SOCK, like
Well,
hyphen
okay, so then-
IT.
maybe just sock would be the
So
bad
then
word.
sock would be the bad word.
Sock would be
It is no
sock.
longer
That's a
the
good one because
sock.
it has kind of
Sock.
similar
There you go.
accents to other curse words we won't use on this word. It's
That's
got
pretty
that
good.
So
sock.
that goes back to
That was
what
odd, sorry.
Carson was saying earlier. Now we have to come up with like a new name for what we call socks.
Well,
If it's
I
a
mean,
bad word.
socks are obviously just say a cuss word right there. Just be like, socks are obviously called.
What would you
Um,
call them?
Foot blankets.
Foot blankets.
I'm
is
going with
good.
foot blankets.
I like that.
But okay, so we're replacing a simple one-syllable word
With another one
with
syllable word.
2 words.
Oh,
You know, we're going from sock to foot blanket. That's not exactly efficient.
oh, sure.
English is all about making
More like a sleeping
shorter
bag. So you
words.
probably say foot sleeping bag, but that's even worse.
That's even worse, yeah.
Yeah, but you
But
How,
don't
how much
sleep-
fun would that be?
but you
like,
don't
I need to go
sleep
buy
in
some
your
new
socks
foot, I
at
need
all.
to
If
go.
your feet are sleeping all the time, then you have issues
Yeah.
with your blood flow.
Oh,
Well, they're not sleeping. They're
But
just
then
in
why?
a bag.
But why would it be a sleeping bag then? If
'Cause
you're
they're
not
cold.
sleeping.
So,
They
you're,
wanna-
so you're saying we should instead call them foot bags. I don't know.
Foot
I like
bags is
foot
good.
blankets better, but shall we switch over to
Yeah,
a
we can
different-
switch over
Let's just completely
anytime we want.
shift topics.
So we're
Carson
just
has
going
an
to
op-
halt real quick. We got some whiplash from that, but so my what's with that is, I saw Annihilation this past week, and
Oh,
by the
boy.
way, for all the viewers out there, go watch it. I love it. It's amazing. But
do a quick movie review.
no, we don't have time for that. I wish we did. I could talk about that forever. But it got me thinking.
Okay.
What would our government's first contact policy be? Like,
Okay.
there's got to be a policy. Like, they have to have a policy somewhere out there that's like, first contact happens. These are the steps we take, right?
Have you ever seen the movie or read the book Sphere?
No.
It was another '90s movie. It was based off a book by Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park, and it was like about was he a psychologist, psychiatrist, psychologist? I think it was, I don't know, something like that. And he was tasked by the government to like draw up a first contact policy, or like what we would do
so-
in
yeah,
the
step by
event
step,
of
what we
meeting an
do.
extraterrestrial. And it was his opinion that the government should bring 4 individuals, a psychologist. I don't know why, but a
I mean, I
psychologist,
guess.
like a biochemist, a physicist, and a mathematician.
Okay.
And so these were the four people in the movie. They think that they haven't come in contact with extraterrestrials, so he is like he not only wrote the policy, but he was also a part of the team, and so that's what the movie's about. But I think it was a great idea of how we should
Have like one of each, not representing a different field of something. That would
but
pertain
fields
to
that are
this.
related. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that
They're
would pertain
pertaining
to
to how we would figure out how to
Interact
interact
with
these.
Mhm.
Similar idea in the movie Arrival. Also another great movie. You
I was
should go
also
see.
See, I was thinking the exact opposite, depending on
Okay,
the
what were you
situation.
thinking?
So, have you guys seen Stargate?
I haven't seen
haven't
any of these
seen
things
it.
we mentioned today.
Really? Yeah,
So-
this actually
Yeah.
this entire show or episode today is actually going to be a lot about sci-fi movies.
But
and
so
stuff.
Stargate, it's kind of like what happens is that they basically go through the Stargate and they appear
Right.
on this other world where they find another civilization.
Mhm.
And basically they told this guy who figured out the Stargate, he's the crazy guy that figures it all out, whatever. So they all go there, and the Stargate's broken. And the guy, one of the military people that was with him, was instructed to basically just blow up the gate immediately. Like, as soon as they got there, if they found human life, they were supposed to go right back to the gate. He didn't tell them this. He was
Human
supposed to
life or
go
just
like
life?
intelligent life, I
Intelligent
should
life,
say.
gotcha.
Yeah. If they find intelligent life, he goes back to the Stargate, blows up the gate, so they can no longer reach humans on Earth at all.
Oh,
That was their
okay.
whole strategy. It's like, if they find human life there, just get rid of the gate. There can be no way for them to get through
Really?
the gate back to us.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie, but
I
so
thought it was kind of
that's-
interesting.
So you
But I
agree
guess-
with that?
I-
That policy.
No, I don't really agree with it to the extent, but it's also like if there were alien life to come to Earth, the way we would handle it would honestly really depend on what they bring to
Are they
Earth.
shooting at us?
Exactly,
Are they
it's like-
asking us
Yeah.
questions?
Are they going to come down peacefully? I don't know if we would wait to find out if they come down peacefully or not. I don't know. I don't know how long we would take before we just blow them up because it's such a risk to. It's such a risk.
Okay, if alien life came and visited us,
Uh huh.
gosh, that's opening a can of worms right there. But
Like-
I really don't think that we would be able to do anything if they were.
If they were,
malevolent,
they're
Yeah.
much more higher
we
power
would-
than
yeah,
we are
don't
for sure.
stand
Yeah, we'd
a
probably aim all of
chance.
our guns at them before they got to the surface, but it probably wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, we just don't stand a chance. So
But I just thought like, what would?
you're more of a cautionary dude.
Well, I don't agree with it, but I think that's maybe what we would do is
But
just take
caution.
precautions. and just
I'm not saying like take action and
yeah.
completely destroy them, but take caution more
Absolutely,
than like,
yeah.
hey, let's go interact with these people.
Because
Right
we have
away.
no idea what they're here
Mhm.
for.
That's when we go back to kind of like what your question was, like making like what would your first response plan be? Like, what did you?
Yeah.
do you
So
have in mind?
Jacob, what would your first response plan be? Or in this scenario, apparently, where
Are we talking like
aliens are
aliens
visiting
came to us, we
us
received a signal, we went to them?
I would say aliens are like
here, they came
transporting
here?
in whatever. Yeah, they're
Okay,
here.
so we know they're coming.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they're already here.
they're already here.
Oh, they're already here. Okay, Jacob, they're already here. What are you doing? What are you gonna do?
Oh, that threw a monkey wrench in what I was thinking. So
Uh-oh.
I might need a second.
Okay. Well, what were
Well,
you
what were
thinking?
you thinking?
I was
Yeah.
thinking just like maybe receiving a signal
Oh.
or something.
Oh, okay.
Sure,
like
go with
scanning.
that then.
I don't know. It's like, do we respond? Is probably a good question. Like, if we get like just some
Do we
outbound,
have the ability to respond?
That's what. Yeah.
like
Is
if,
this like a radio?
like if they send
signal?
some radio wave towards us,
Okay.
and we get it, and it's obviously directed like at us or
Gotcha.
trying to find other life. Like,
we can
do
send.
we send one back, or do we just pretend we never heard it?
So this is kind of like have you heard of SETI?
Yeah.
So
Search
SETI
for extraterrestrial intelligence.
search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Yes. So SETI is kind of on the receiving end. SETI is actively listening for signals. What you're saying is we're oh well I
Basic-
suppose,
basically his
okay, So
scenario-
that would be
Do we, if we receive
not- we're
something,
not
well, what should our
sending-
plan? I was thinking more of like that, like what would our plan of
okay.
action
So
be
what
if we
would
received
what
something?
would we do?
Obviously,
we
I think
respond?
we should notify our governments first, not the
So we're
media
the
first.
scientists.
No,
That's
no.
discovered
I
this.
honestly think if we were to receive a notification like that,
Mm.
I don't think the general public would ever find out about it.
Oh really?
Personally, I don't think they
You're
would
conspiracy
ever tell
theory.
the general public.
Either that, or it would have to go through lots of like.
Lots.
like-
Well, because I just think public reactions to it would be so unknown. Like how would the public react to finding out there's life out there?
It would depend how like, because if it's like a signal in like intelligible language that we can like make out,
Yeah.
we probably wouldn't tell people very quickly.
I know. It's just like
But
I
if
think
it's just like, oh, there's scattered noise, and be like, oh look, science.
I think it would be like
Hmm.
mass hysteria. I don't think people
Mm.
would be able to comprehend it. I don't think most people would be able to comprehend it,
Like the movie Contact.
like the movie Contact, for instance.
Haven't seen that one.
Really?
That's a good one. I
Wow.
recommend Annihilation and Contact once again for any
and
listeners
Arrival
out there.
and Stargate. And
I
we'll
don't
just keep
watch
listing them.
things. I
We'll
just
just
like
keep
play video
listing
games.
I don't
off these
recommend
shows.
Stargate. Stargate is very long.
Oh,
It
okay.
is
I've never
way
seen
too
Stargate.
long for the movie.
Well, that was a great segment.
I had a lot of fun. I think we're gonna start getting those Ethernets on those alien ships, and
Then we're gonna
They
suck
come
them all
in.
to hell.
they come in and we start
We just
telling
start
them.
insulting them.
We're gonna
You
tell them that.
Ethernets.
Or no, we're just gonna tell them that Ethernet is a cuss word, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I
But they
better
have
not
to
say
know
that."
what the concept of a cuss word is.
That's
Oh,
true.
suck it.
So that's the first
Suck
thing.
it.
Once we have figured out a way to communicate with them, let's not tell them about how scientifically advanced we are. Let's just teach them all the swear words in our
Yeah.
language.
that's the first thing we should
They
do."
don't want to gain their trust. We shoot nukes at them.
Well, I think we have decided
not.
that we should not be in charge of first contact.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, there's much more qualified people than we are.
Stick
See you
around.
guys on the
We'll
next
come back
segment.
for another segment of In the News. from a really fun break. We always have fun over our breaks. I don't know about you guys. This is What's in the News. Let's start off with a pop quiz, since you guys are so
Energetic.
ready to go
Test.
today. Yeah, you guys are physics majors. You should know. This is an easy pop quiz. What is the nature of light?
Photons and waves.
It's
Photons and waves.
a wave, yeah. It's
A
behaves
dual
both a
particle
wave and a particle.
duality.
What happens if you shine two light flashlights towards each other? What happens if you cross beams? What is it in Ghostbusters? They don't cross the stream.
Don't cross the stream, and they capture the ghost. Yeah.
What happens when
I don't know. Some quantum stuff probably happens.
you think so?
I mean, maybe nothing happens at all, but I feel like a photon bouncing off another photon would.
Do photons bounce off photons?
I would assume so. I mean,
Do they?
they act
I have
like
no idea.
particles
I forgot.
sometimes. Depends on how you're measuring it, right?
You're in quantum mechanics, aren't you?
Quantum mechanics is the same thing as physics 3, except you add the Schrodinger equation to everything.
Yeah, okay.
It's literally the exact same thing, though.
Well, traditionally, photons do not interact with each other.
There you go.
You can shine two light beams. You can cross the light beams. They do not interact with each other. A beam of light can interfere with itself. You talk maybe that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to with the wave
With
the
the wave property
particle
of light.
duality.
Yeah, right. Something new though, and this title reached out and grabbed my eyes and said, "You need to click here." It says physicists create new form of light. Newly observed optical state could enable quantum computing with photons. Well, let me tell you what that means.
Yeah.
So let me find a team of physicists at MIT published a paper saying that they observed groups of 3 photons interacting with each other, in effect sticking together to form a completely new kind of photonic matter. This sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
Yeah.
I
It
was
doesn't sound real.
absolutely
Thing that,
flabbergasted when
Has
I
no
read
masses coming together to make more.
Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense. But
this. It doesn't make sense. And for those of you who are maybe not familiar, maybe we need to explain this a little bit better. Photons are simply the abstract particles that we say that light is composed of.
Well, they aren't actually particles.
Right, but
We
what we
compare
say
them
is-
to a
right.
particle because
So
they act
when we
like
study when we study the nature of light, we find that it behaves in 2 distinct different ways. It either behaves as a wave, so like waves in a pond, or it behaves as a particle, like throwing little balls around the room,
Yep.
that kind of thing. The name that we give those little particles are photons, even though they don't. No physical reality to
Yeah.
them. They don't actually. We're not actually being when somebody
We
shines
just
a
needed
flashlight
something.
on
We
us,
just
we're not
needed
actually being
something to
hit by
describe
balls. Yes, we just
what
use
was
it.
happening.
Yeah, we use it as an abstract idea.
If you want to look up more on it, you can look up wave particle duality.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because they both
maybe we'll
interact
put
with-
something in the show notes
yeah.
or something. But this is basically taking that abstract idea and turning it into a real physical thing. And they're kind of referring to these groups of photons as molecules, which I think is confusing.
Yeah. No, I mean, because a molecule is a bunch of atoms that are combined together to make something, and
Yeah.
photon doesn't really exist in the first place. So to combine something that doesn't exist with something else that doesn't exist doesn't make much sense.
It doesn't make much sense. Yeah. It says that researchers. Okay, wait. Let me explain the experiment to you. So these researchers, they took they're ultra cold physicists, so they do their research in ultra cold environments near absolute zero.
that'd be pretty fun.
They took a dense cloud of ultra cold rubidium atoms. So basically a cloud of these rubidium atoms, and they chilled them down to a millionth of a degree, I believe, a millionth of a degree
Yeah.
from absolute zero.
That's pretty
so they're
cold.
because
They're
for people that don't
almost-
know, absolute zero is impossible to reach.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get infinitesimally close to absolute zero, but we can never actually reach it.
Right, and we could go into the
Which is where it comes
thermodynamics
from,
and
yeah.
the quantum mechanics.
I just
with
wanted to
that,
point
but
that out there because people might not.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they get these, and what happens as you get closer and closer to absolute zero? The atoms themselves actually lose
Freeze.
energy and they slow down to almost a steady state. They're almost not moving. So that's what they did with these rubidium atoms. Then they shone a very weak laser beam through this dense cloud, and they measured the light that was coming out on the other side. And this article doesn't exactly go into a great detail exactly how they measured this. That would probably be some upper level physics.
Pretty complicated.
But what they found was that these photons were bound together in pairs or triplets, suggesting some kind of interaction. In this case, an attraction taking place among them. And I'm just flabbergasted.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, like
What does that even mean to me? Yeah, exactly.
so basically what they're saying is that with their detector, when they launched it through the cloud, they had a detector on the other side, and as they went through, usually you would see a photon hitting it in a certain diffraction pattern, right? So basically what they're saying is that they noticed that there were 3 times as much hitting per one photon they were expecting, is the way I assume it to be, right? Like they found 3 times as much energy getting hit into the detector than they were expecting each time a photon hit. That's how I pictured
Yeah,
it, at least.
maybe that's how they did
Because like
it.
a photon has a specific energy to it, and with a detector you can detect the energy that the photon hits the detector with. So what I'm assuming happened is that they detected 3 times as much energy per photon they were expecting to hit. So they came to the conclusion that they were combining together. So maybe they went to a higher frequency. They didn't actually
Yeah, I
combine
think
together.
it has something to do with the frequency.
So I
That makes
think
sense.
Yeah.
the frequency then became 3 times as much, and then they got 3 times as much energy corresponding to that. How that happens, I have absolutely no
So
clue.
they actually they do have a hypothesis to explain what might be happening here. Basically has to do with what happens to these photons as they travel through the cloud of rubidium atoms. These photons are not going to just fly right through. Some of
They're
them are
gonna be
going to interact
deflected.
with the atoms.
Yep.
And what happens when they interact is they're briefly absorbed and then re-emitted by these atoms. And the time that they take when they're absorbed and before they're re-emitted, that amount of time is kind of what allows them to interact with other photons, quote unquote. It says if another photon is simultaneously traveling through the cloud while some other photon is interacting with a rubidium atom, if another one also interacts with
During the reaction time of the other one.
right,
Mhm.
when they get re-emitted, they can both be polarized the same.
Okay.
And in essence, that the 2 polarized photons can interact with each other. This is beyond me. I need to do more
I could kind
study in
of
quantum
to me it
mechanics in
sounds
order to
to me it
understand
sounds like they absorb one, and while the one was being absorbed at the exact same moment, another one was being absorbed, and they
this.
like
Right.
Some of
it-
the interacted when they came out.
they interacted with each other during the absorption, and they combined into one on the outer
They
end
quote
of
unquote combined. They're both re-emitted at the same time with the same polarization, traveling the same path. They're essentially
Together.
So
together.
my theory, this
Attracted
is
to
also
each other.
me.
Crackpot theory.
This is my theory in a basic quantum. Like I don't know anything about this, so
But you do have a basic understanding of
I have a
it.
basic understanding of what's happening. But my idea is that like when one interacts and another one interacts, maybe there is like something that blocks the other one from leaving from the interaction of the other one. So until there is a brief moment of no interaction, no more interactions, then they can be released. But if like more keep interacting, there's like a block maybe that stops them. That would be my only guess, because I would expect to happen is that one would interact and then the other one would have no influence on it, so it would just move on like nothing happened.
We should
But
call up these researchers.
we should have them on the
Yeah, we
podcast.
should have them on the podcast.
I wonder what like Obviously, I have no idea what's really going on there really to do that. I wonder if there's any like implications like
Yeah, I
that,
didn't
like,
read. Maybe if I had read, maybe if I read the paper, it would explain a little bit
and then we
more.
could
But
use
of
that
course,
for.
I found this article on sciencedaily.com. I get a lot of
Mhm.
my science info from it, and they just keep using that term "bound together." And some of the quotes that they took from the researchers, of course, the researchers were also using uh,
I think
inaccurate terms,
I
but
think bound together is a loose term.
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, the researchers are still probably trying to figure out
For
exactly
them
what's all going on.
explaining it as a molecule, it seems. I
It
think
says-
I think that's a bit of a clickbaity term.
yeah,
I don't think that's.
molecule,
I don't
yeah.
think they actually expected to act like a molecule for our listeners. I think it's more of a clickbait term to get you to click on it.
Right. It's basically it might be similar to something like a quantum entanglement kind of thing.
'Kay.
It says that this is an article from or an article. This is a quote from one of the researchers, and it says when the photons go through the medium, anything that happens while they're in the medium, they quote unquote remember when they get out of it. So when they go into the medium, something happens, and when they
Changes
exit,
something about
photons
it.
can kind of be entangled with other photons. Quote, quote unquote.
That still doesn't. I still don't get the whole entanglement.
right,
thing. Like
right, yeah,
the fact that they say entangled could mean so many different things.
Right. So of course, they pose that this could essentially be used for some sort of futuristic quantum computing.
Oh,
If we can control this effect, then eventually we can use it to store information and
Mm.
send information. That's
As-
exactly what
like as
computers do.
packets and pairs. That might, yeah.
Right, exactly. So that's the origin of the article headline. But I just saw it and I was like, well, this is just incredible. I have to see what other people think about this.
yeah.
I
I
don't know what's actually going on here, but I definitely plan to do some more investigation into it.
because you could effectively like save space, not save space, but save time on processing. If you could add multiple,
Yeah,
if you could
yeah.
add multiple inputs,
If instead, if
Mhm.
you were not using electrons to send information, if instead you were using the light,
it would be extreme.
you're
Well, it'd be the
extremely
same.
fast
Yeah,
computing.
but like I guess the whole point I'm getting to is the fact that like what you could potentially do, I guess, is just have more like like your 1 and 0. You know,
Mhm.
you could have 3 different things in that 1 and 0.
Different
that's
kind
getting-
different
yeah,
states. Yeah,
different states. So you
exactly.
could have 3 times as much information getting outputted from
Mhm.
one photon, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was my article. We have some time left.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the
We're gonna talk about some of the
tardigrades.
coolest things in the universe, I think. Well, from our knowledge, tardigrade.
that's the little
The
little
little
bear,
bear.
right?
Water
We got
bear.
the water bears.
There, we got little water bears. These things, first of all, are amazing. They can live in space.
They can live in
They can live in very hot temperatures, very cold temperatures. They're just kind of like invincible little
Just kinda like
bears.
God. They're gods.
invincible. I
They're-
like
they're
it.
like-
They're
they're the tiny
little
gods
mini
of-
gods. Yeah,
They're actually the rulers of the universe.
That's
You didn't
true,
know, little
they-
known fact.
yeah.
They're the rulers of the universe.
Do they have a lifespan?
Well, they have a They have a council and all that as well.
The Tardigrade Council.
the Tardigrade Council.
They
Yeah.
look down on us. Those silly humans calling
Yeah.
us water bears.
But basically, they're moss-loving creatures, as many microscopic
Okay.
organisms are. But basically, somebody discovered a new one in a Japan parking lot. He just
Did he
In
just
a
look really
parking
close? 'Cause
lot.
these things are microscopic. Did he,
he
just look
basically
really
like
close?
what I assume is he just took a water sample from some moss in the parking lot,
Okay.
and they brought it home and he looked through it. And he did obviously he has some background knowledge on what's going on
Yeah.
because he did genes, like he like looked at
Oh,
the
you
genes
did
of
some
it.
Gene splicing, really?
Well, not gene splicing,
or,
but
or
like
just
that's what I was gonna say too. But he basically like looked at the genes of it and he compared them to other stuff on other genes online of tardigrades, and he noticed that there was basically like it was just different genes
Okay.
from what he's seen
so
from anything
compared
online.
to, like the species of tardigrade that we
Yeah.
already knew to exist.
And it seems like though that this is happening quite a bit because from this article it says that there's about 20 new species every year.
of tardigrades.
Yes, of tardigrades. So like,
Dang.
and there's already 1,200 known worldwide.
Oh, really?
So these things are
Okay.
just like popping up like crazy. But so it kind of makes me wonder, like, if they're like maybe they're very fast with evolution, like they evolve very quickly.
quickly.
because
Well, I
they are
mean-
microscopic. So I mean, they would change fast. But it's like
like that. I'm not an expert in this field, but like the rate at which
changes are happening.
evolution, or well, yeah, changes happen in a species. Depends. It's depends on like how quick their lifespans are.
Oh, because the faster they die,
So
the
that's my
faster,
question:
yeah.
is do tardigrades have
That,
They're
a
invincible and never die.
lifespan,
that is
or
actually.
do they just live forever?
I'm gonna look that up real quick. So
That's the
The
question. I have.
lifespan of tardigrades range
There
from
we
3
go.
to 4 months for some species, up to 2 years for other species, not counting time they spend in dormant
Huh.
states.
Oh, in dormant states.
So they can just go
really?
somehow they can just go in a dormant state. And that
yeah, I
kind
see
of-
here that they might even be able to survive desiccation for up to a century.
Yeah, they can like survive anything.
They are amazing creatures,
Except
and they're
they're
very
gods.
cute, regardless of what Ethan says.
I don't think they're that cute.
We'll have pictures in the show notes for sure. They're just bears. They're tiny little bears with like circle
Until you find the
mouths.
until you find the pictures
There's a
that are
little-
just of their teeth, those ones are
Oh,
weird.
those
like,
ones are
let's-
Yeah.
terrifying.
yeah, those ones are terrifying. But the ones that are like standing on a little like see forever, they're just
And-
adorable.
They are
We
very
can't just
adorable.
like if you use light to look at these things, you can't
You have
see
to
that
use a,
detail. You have to use an electron
yes.
microscope.
Electron scanning probe.
Um,
Basically, it uses the current between it and whatever it's detecting to find differences.
Yeah, it's like where a microscope or a normal light microscope uses photons to bounce off whatever you're looking at.
Electron scanning probe will use a
The
current.
electrons.
Yes, it will use a current
current,
between
yeah.
electrons.
The
To
stream
decide.
of electrons.
What it's seeing.
Look at that. We went from tardigrades to
Mardi Gras. The only reason that came up is
Yeah.
because I said tardigrades wrong, so it rhymed with Mardi Gras.
It rhymed with Mardi Gras.
I found a picture that's
And
happy tardigrades when I was looking. It's-
Oh, that's great. See,
that should be our icon for the episode.
okay.
Yeah, tardigrade Mardi Gras. I bet they celebrate Mardi Gras.
I bet they
I
do.
don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, they're a fun-loving creature. Ethan, why are you giving me that look?
They're gods. They
I-
can do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they
The
want.
council said Mardi Gras.
When's
Oh,
the
yeah,
last
official
time
tardigrade
you
council.
appeared before the tardigrade council?
It was
Maybe they have the
2010.
council. Maybe the council coincides with Mardi Gras.
That's they meet every Mardi Gras to decide the future of the universe.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I have a game for you guys. So you better get your
Mardi Gras is going.
stick around. And we're back for our last segment of the day. It is a game. We talked about this last time Carson and I were on. I can't think of a W like a
What's the game?
What's the game?
What's the
That-
game?
We'll come up with something better. I don't know.
What's on the game?
What's on the game?
I think we should keep
What
trying.
game are we doing on What's on the Fourth Floor? No, that's too long. Okay. So, since this entire podcast has been kind of about science fiction and all the technologies in it,
Comedy gold.
the game goes along with that, ironically. What I have done, I have gone out and searched different technologies, sci-fi technologies specifically, that have more or less become reality. I will admit, in some cases, it is a bit of a stretch, but it's similar enough to the TV show or book based
Reference.
or whatever, the reference, similar enough to the reference that there was some article or something somewhere out there that directly made the tie between the two. So I said that's good enough. So how this is going to work is I will give you will each have a turn. I will give you the name of a sci-fi technology, and you have to tell me whether it is or is not real.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
I will admit beforehand, as I was doing my searches, I went back and looked at my list of technologies that I found, and most of them, if not all of them, have occurred in the franchise, the Star Trek franchise.
Which is fine because neither me or Jacob
Well,
scenes.
but
watched,
then you
like, a
guys
single
don't
movie.
really won't know the reference though, and that's like I can explain them to you. So
Mhm.
that's the thing. Like if you need explanation as to what the technology is, I will be able to explain it to you. However, that's just a fair warning. I did not plan this. They just happened that way.
Are
So
you a
shall we get
Trekkie?
started? What?
Are you a Trekkie?
I'm not gonna go that far as to call myself a Trekkie, but I've seen a lot of the movies and a lot of the shows. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Not all of them though. I will, and
Not that
won't-
crazy.
I'm not that crazy. Okay. Um, wait, who won the rock paper scissors?
I did mine.
You
I
did.
one.
So Carson,
Ooh.
it's
Even though
your
it doesn't
chance.
matter according to the statistics who goes first.
Well, what if you
I'll
have a
go
few
first.
questions?
In reference to a previous podcast. Okay, the first one. It's called a tricorder. It is from the Star Trek universe. Basically, what it is, it's a handheld device that scans your environment, and you can collect almost any kind of data you want from with this device.
I
And
mean-
there's a specific instrument called a
Okay.
medical tricorder, also, and that you might be more familiar with. It has this little hand probe, and you kind of wave it around the patient. Doctors use it to wave it over their patients, and they can immediately tell, how, like, exactly
What's wrong with them?
what's wrong with
So
them.
I'm supposed to say if
what's
this is
going
true
on.
or false.
Yes. So true or false, is this a real technology that we have today, or it might be like researchers are currently developing the technology?
It's so broad of an answer. It's
A
like
lot of these are.
I mean, it's so broad where it's just like, oh, they're looking for all diseases. So it's like, yeah, It's
That's
like,
true.
Oh, we just
Yeah.
wave it over their body and we tell every cancer they have on them.
And it has to be a handheld device.
Probably false.
Final answer.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is false.
yeah.
Again, that was just a specific instance, the medical tricorder, but just the tricorder in general, where you can just like hold it out. And
We're
just, like,
getting there
scan the
though with
room.
AI on the phones, like the new Samsung phone. They just came out with a new trailer for the camera, and you can hold it up to a street corner. Like they literally hold it up to a street corner, and it tells them what store is like on the street corner. Like they look at the street sign
Really?
and they tell you what streets are on.
That's interesting.
It's pretty crazy. We'll look up the
We'll look
trailer
it up,
later.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder how well it works, like in not large metropolitan.
Right.
I'm sure it works great
many
in New York
points do
City,
I
but
get,
like, does
though?
it work in the Brunswick, Nebraska, in the middle
That's
of
true.
nowhere? Although I don't really need directions to get around a town of 100 people.
What am I looking at for points?
Oh, well, no points.
-7.
I got it right though.
Wait. Oh, yeah, that's right. For some reason, I thought you got it wrong.
Hey,
Okay,
dude.
let's give you 5 qubits.
There you go. Which is a digit.
It's a
Nail.
well,
Is
like
5
in
qubits a nail?
computing we have bits.
Oh, I'm thinking of standard.
No, qubits.
Okay.
Qubits. The reference to quantum computing.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Since we were talking about that earlier. Anyway, Jacob, it is your turn. The second device or technology is a tractor beam. Now, this I was thinking of it as the Star Trek tractor beam, but it has been used in other franchises,
Mm-hmm.
like the Star Wars. Star Wars.
Lots.
Also
I
has
know what you're
tractor
talking about,
beams.
like something you shoot at something and it like brings it towards you.
Yes. Yeah, it's some sort of energetic pulse that you can grab physical
Yeah.
objects with and manipulate their direction of travel. True or false? Is it a real technology and or being developed technology?
Do magnets count?
No. 5, 4.
False.
It's true.
It is true.
I know because it was on the last podcast they were talking
Oh,
about.
come on!
No kidding.
Yeah, they were talking about how like they use sound waves with like a little
Okay,
piece
well
of
that's
ball.
yeah. That's I do have No. Actually, that's one example. Yes, the using sound waves. The example that I found was a group of laser physicists have built a laser that can manipulate small objects, the direction of travel of small objects. Basically, what it is it's this laser beam that's kind of donut shaped. So if you shine it on a wall, you would see a circle.
Mhm.
And what it can do is when you shine it at an object, if the object doesn't matter if it's traveling away from the beam or if it's traveling towards the beam or if it's not moving at all, it can heat up small spots on the object, create little hot spots is what they call them. And the hot spots heat up the surrounding air, and the molecules of air will actually move away from the object faster when they get heated up, and that acts like a little rocket ship to propel it in a different direction. So they can just manipulate the polarization of the light to change where the hotspot is on the object and change its direction of travel. I was just blown away with that kind of how they figured out how to do that. But tractor beams, yeah, I was okay with calling it a tractor beam. It's a bit of a stretch. I will give you that.
We're working on it.
So
he got it wrong though.
He got it wrong, but because
it's back to me.
This was one of the more. I stretched that one, so I will give you at least 2 qubits. Quantum bits.
Oh,
no, it was 5 to 2.
Oh, 5 to 2.
Okay. Can you have half a qubit? Is that a thing?
No.
Well, it's our point system. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, it's our point system.
But it's based off of qubits.
We don't have any actual qubits here. Might as well just say there's half of one.
That's what I'm saying.
You just take the qubit and you cut it in half. That's good. You half.
All right. What do I got?
What do you got, Carson? Next question. Stasis chamber. Now this is not anything particular to any sci-fi universe out there. Stasis chamber. Basic idea is you put a human in it and
freeze them.
That would be like a cryogenic chamber.
You just kind of like...
Yeah, I wasn't considering that. Stasis chamber is like you can lower their metabolism and basically you put them to sleep for long periods of time.
Hibernation device.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can essentially slow down.
Yeah, I've seen it in multiple movies. Interstellar, Passenger, stuff like that.
Exactly. That's the kind of technology that I'm talking about.
You're saying that they're in development?
Is it a real technology and or in development?
I'd say it's in development. True.
True?
Yeah.
It is true.
Woo!
But we actually do have this.
Oh, we do?
Yes. It's got a special name. Let me find it. It's a form of cryogenic stasis, whatever you want to call it. It's called therapeutic hypothermia, and doctors have actually been able to use it they cool down their patient, and it slows down their metabolism, slows down their heart rate, their and blood pressure and all that stuff, and they're able to stay in stasis one man stayed in stasis for up to 24 days.
Oh, wow.
It allows the doctors to treat them. It gives the doctors more time to treat them if they have some sort of serious illness. I thought I'd never heard of it before.
That's got to be like the weirdest thing waking up from. It's like, what do you feel like after that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So what, 10 qubits for me then?
You're just going to assign yourself 10?
Well, no, I was saying like 5 plus 5.
Oh, 5 plus 5. Yeah. 10. Okay.
So I think this one will be winner take all for Jacob, probably.
You ready?
You could win it right here. It's worth 10.
Or yeah, I mean.
So he could
get
12, yeah.
You ready, Jacob?
What? Why is it? I'm confused. Okay, go.
Let's make it exciting.
Universal translator. Is it a real technology? Do you know what I'm talking about, first of all?
Like a device that translates what you're saying?
Exactly. So you can talk to literally anybody.
True. I mean,
stupid.
we have like Google Translate.
Google
we got things that can listen to us.
No, I mean like the Google literally has a new device out that is an earbud you can stick in your ear and you can listen to like people talking to you. It'll actively convert it to your language. It's already out.
Sure.
You can buy one.
Or were you thinking like talk to like aliens and stuff?
Yeah, I was thinking like talk to aliens. Yeah, I guess I didn't really know about that. I didn't do enough research into that. I was saying straight up false that we do not have it. I did not know about that, where like we can communicate between humans, different languages of humans. I'm just saying like we can just go out there and the first species we come across, we don't have to learn their language.
I mean, that's impossible.
Talk to them. You think it's impossible?
I don't think there's really a way you can actively learn a new language immediately.
Is it impossible to manipulate objects with just light beams.
But I'm saying that they might not even be able to talk. They may not even communicate with
Right,
vocal
yeah,
cords.
we honestly don't know.
Yeah,
but,
they may communicate
but that was the idea behind the
telepathically for all we
universal
know.
translators, that anybody or any species you meet.
Well, it is a universal translator right now, like Google, because we don't know anyone else that exists. besides
Google
humans.
Translate is like a horrible translation software, though.
No, they actually have like a.
I know they have devices and
Yeah.
stuff, but like
But
Google Translate itself is actually a horrible
They never said it was
translation.
perfect. Never said it was like 100%
So
I
think-
will. Okay, this is a hard one. I'll give you 4 qubits.
Woo!
Because it was mostly right, and I just didn't know about it. Well, were we out of time?
I think so.
We are out of time. That was an interesting
This game was rigged.
segment. It kind of went along with the rest of the podcast. All interesting. And with that, what is on the 4th floor?
Oh, it's for sure.
The
Mardi.
tardigrades?
It's the
Tardigrade
it's the
Mardi
council.
The council.
That's where the council is located in the
And they
universe.
meet every Mardi Gras.
And right next door, there's a flip back.
A flip back.
Hello? If you're still here, it's because you're looking for more. If that's the case, check us out on Facebook at What's on the 4th Floor and Twitter at OnFloor4. Again, that's Facebook, What's on the 4th Floor, Twitter at OnFloor4. That's at OnFloor, the number 4.